Hello and welcome to the Confident Musicianing Podcast. My name is Eleanor and I am a British American oboist studying at the Royal Conservatory of Scotland, literally my dream school. And it took me a long way to get there. I applied and auditioned for 12 schools in 3 different countries. It was a lot of hard work, but oh my gosh, so worth it. I want you to have the confidence to work hard in achieving your goals. So come with me as we go on this journey together. So sit down, pull up a chair, take a seat, or if you're on the go, welcome to the Confident Musicianing Podcast. Hello and welcome back. I'm so glad that you are here and that we can have a little chat. This week we're talking about something that happened about 2 years ago, on the 20th of February. So I think the time that this comes out, it's the 18th, maybe somewhere around there. I don't know. And we're talking about my Peabody Institute of Music audition, because that was an audition that I think I'll always remember. It went from good to a disaster to better than ever in about 5 minutes. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. I talk about this audition on the 2nd episode of the Confident Musicianing podcast, but I felt like it was in need of a redo because that came out a while ago. And I feel like, now that I have some more hindsight, some more thoughts from reflection and all of these things, I think that I should chat about it again. I think we should talk about it again because it is something that we can all learn from, even me when I did it and even now when thinking about it. So let's talk about this audition. The night before, I had gotten to the city that I was doing the audition in, and I was feeling really good. I remember having dinner that night and going to bed and waking up and really just feeling very confident, very good about the audition. I really hadn't stressed that night before or the morning of, and I remember getting to my room and getting my oboe out and warming up and just feeling this sense of confidence, like I am going to crush this. I felt so good in me, and I was like, this is gonna be great. So I got my oboe out, I warmed up. I think I also posted on my Instagram stories that I was doing an audition because and when it was time, I remember I stood outside the audition room. And that's when everything changed, because I heard the girl before me. I was stood outside the audition room and I just heard her, and she sounded so much better than I was. Like her articulation, her intonation, her everything, her tone, her just everything. I remember specifically thinking her articulation is so clean. I was like, how in the world am I gonna go after that? I was so nervous, and all of a sudden, my confidence left. It left the room, it left the chat, it was gone. And I remember feeling so empty. Where did all that confidence go? And I started to panic. I started to panic a bit. I started to be like, what do I do? I need this confidence to do well in this session or in this audition, and I don't know what to do because it's all gone, and this girl sounds so much better than I am, and it's just, obviously in the audition she's playing and playing and playing, so as I'm panicking, I'm still listening to her play. And I remember I could also hear the judges, not very well, but I could hear that they were very happy with her playing, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be how am I gonna follow this amazing person in this audition? I was so nervous. And then I decided to do 2 things that just popped into my mind. I don't know what happened, but they just popped into my mind. And I decided, you know what? I'm kind of desperate. I'm going to do these 2 things. And these 2 things completely changed the trajectory of this audition. So we're going to talk about them. The first thing was how I listened to her playing. I had to listen to her playing. My ears work. She was making sound. I couldn't not listen to them, or to it. And it was funny because the first thing I tried was to pretend, like, not listen to her playing. And I don't remember what I did, but I think I tried to, like, busy my mind and, like block her playing out, but that didn't work. Physically, scientifically, the science of sound, that didn't work. And so I decided to change my perspective of listening to her. I changed it from comparison to inspiration. So instead of thinking, listening to her and thinking, oh my gosh, her intonation is like really good, or her articulation's so good, I can't even do this, I started thinking, oh my gosh, her articulation's so good. And her intonation's so good. And she's actually really killing it at this audition. And she's probably feeling really good about it. And I am currently being, I have the honor of listening to this oboist who sounds so good. And I started to really enjoy her music. And that helped in so many different ways. I started to feel good again. I started to feel like, oh my gosh, her playing's so good. Like, I kind of took myself out of the context. I was like, her playing so good. And then when it was my turn to play, I had just finished listening to absolutely amazing playing, and I think it actually kind of brought my standard of playing up a bit, because my brain had just heard that and was like, okay, let's do that. And I feel like I played really well in my audition because I listened to her with inspiration. Looking back now after doing that and, reflecting on it for about 2 years. I mean, it's been about 2 years. I've made it a practice to listen to others with inspiration rather than comparison. So I have done many an audition after this audition. I've auditioned for so many things, and I've also done performance classes and, other things, just a bunch of stuff. And every time I listen to someone, I have decided I want to listen with inspiration, not comparison. Even if we are in an audition and we are technically being compared, that's not my job to compare. So that's what I do now, and it's hard. It's very difficult. A lot of the times I struggle with it, and I find myself comparing myself to other people. But it's something that we always want to work on, and that's something that I've been working on. So, for instance, what does that look like? If you're like, Eleanor, what do you mean? What does that look like? It looks like the difference between thinking their tone is so much better than mine, I can never get mine to be that good, oh my gosh, and have all this bad feelings, versus their tone is so rich and full, I'm so inspired to practice more on mine because of listening to their tone. Maybe I'll ask them for some advice. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Maybe I'll ask them for some advice. Now, obviously, the situation is dependent on that. When I was auditioning, maybe it wasn't the best time to ask advice right after her audition and before mine. But, depending on what situation you're in, if you're hearing someone practice and maybe you're comparing yourself, or if you're both warming up for an audition or whatever it is, maybe ask for some advice. That really kind of breaks the barrier and takes them off kind of the pedestal in your brain that you're putting them on and putting yourself under, But that's something that I try and do. And I think, it's very helpful to try and do. So I challenge you to try and see if you can do that. And, it is difficult. It is hard. We all kind of struggle with it, and yes, we make mistakes with it, and that's perfectly fine. But I challenge you to kind of to try and see if you can grow that skill. The next thing that I did was complimented her on her way out. This is something that I kind of just did on a whim. I mean, I did both of these things on a whim, but I just did it, and it was so good. It was so helpful for me. Because I thought to myself, when I was listening to her with comparison and feeling really bad, I felt jealous. I was jealous. That's it. I was jealous of her playing and her tone and her articulation. I was jealous because I couldn't get mine like that. Like, I was struggling with that. A lot of the things that she was good at, I was struggling with. I felt jealous. And I realized, jealous. What do jealous people don't do? What do jealous people not do? There we go. Jealous people don't compliment the person that they're jealous of and mean it genuinely. You know what I mean? Like, they don't. People don't tend to do that when they feel jealous towards someone else. And so I thought, that is exactly what I'm going to do, because I want to not be jealous of this person. I want to be excited for them genuinely. So that's what I'm going to do. And it worked. It worked. It was really interesting. I was stood there, and at this point I had been listening to her for a while with inspiration rather than comparison. So I was already feeling kind of good, better than I was. And I walked up to her on her way out and I said something like, that was such a good, like, you sound so good. Like, that was so good. I really enjoyed listening to her, whatever. I don't know what I said, but I said a compliment. And it was such an interesting thing that happened after, because I genuinely complimented her and I smiled, and she smiled at me because she had just received a compliment and also did a really good audition. And that was such a genuine smile. Then I got more of a genuine smile from seeing her smile. And then when I walked in the audition room, I had a genuine smile on my face, which gave the judges a genuine smile to me, which really set the tone for the whole audition. So it was just really amazing. It was like a transfer of feeling good to my audition, and it really set the tone and was so helpful for me to have such a good audition. So now whenever I do an audition or performance, I smile. I smile at everyone. I smile when I walk in the audition room, and it's a genuine, calm, ready to go smile. Even if I don't necessarily feel like that. And that's also a trick. If you don't feel like something on the inside, do the stuff that you would feel, or do the stuff that you would do if you felt that way on the outside, and then you might start to feel better on the inside. So, now whenever I do an audition or performance, I smile. And I like to think about it, especially with auditions, the whole thing is performance. As soon as I get there at the door, not just the audition room door, but the door of the whole building to, do my audition in, that's where my performance starts. And I am excited, ready to go, smiling, confident, all of these things right there at the start. So a great way to kind of get into this is to get into the habit of smiling anytime I walk through a door. This is something that I still struggle with, and often I forget, but smiling every time I walk through a door, no matter what door it is, even if it's my bedroom door and there's no one there, or if it is, the lift door, or, the door to the supermarket, or whatever it is, smile, and that can help you. So when you smile, when you walk through the audition room door, it is a great, you smile as well. And that's a great way to do things as well. All right. Let's do a bit of a recap, okay? The first thing I did was listen to her playing with inspiration rather than comparison. This changed the game. All of a sudden, I was inspired rather than jealous. The next thing is I complimented her on the way out. My idea of what I was thinking was, I want to do the things that someone who is genuinely excited, I want to do those things so I can feel genuinely excited. And those two things really, really helped this audition, and I ended up getting in to the Peabody Institute of Music. So those things were so helpful, and they really changed the game for my audition. Okay. Now, this story there's a lot of behind the scenes of my audition. I just kind of told you everything that I felt on the inside and was explaining, I was explaining all of those things. And now I am at the Royal Conservatory of Scotland, and I play oboe there, and I study there, and I'm a music student there, and there's a lot of stuff that I experience and I'm learning, and that I just want to share with you behind the scenes of my life as a music student. And I was thinking a way to do that, and from that, we now have the Confident Musicianing Membership Community. This is a community that like, we're just all like-minded musicians who want to encourage each other. In the community, you get access to behind the scenes videos of my life as a music student, and things that I just genuinely want to share with you from my perspective as a music student studying oboe at a conservatoire. There are how-to videos for oboe playing and music making, practice with me videos, so you can practice with me in real time and also see how I practice and prepare for things. There are live streams, Q&As, just all sorts of fun. Just a lot of fun. So if that sounds like something that sounds like something you want to do or want to be a part of, or just even check out, please do check out the link in the show notes, in the description, and yeah, take a look at the Confident Musicianing Membership Community. It is a load of fun. All right, that is about it for this episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. As always, all the links to do with this will be in the show notes, in the description, from the blog post that goes with this, to the link for the Confident Musicianing Membership Community. All right, I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!